about 400,000 shlokas. And there are 18 Upa Puranas, called Upa means subordinate or following. And there are the Upanishads, there are more than 100 Upanishads. Some are very short, there's one Upanishad with one word. And some are also very long, with thousands of words. And of course there's Mahabharata, more than 100,000 shlokas, Ramayana, and so on. And so there's so much to be studied if you want to study this whole tradition. And I mentioned this, that after Valmiki is as usually it is said, he's the granddaddy of all Ramayanas. He's the grandpa of all Ramayanas. He's the origin, Mula. Mula means root, the origin, the Mula Ramayana. But after Valmiki, many Ramayanas came. And the two most widespread and famous are Tulsidas Ramayana in Hindi and Adhyatma Ramayana in Sanskrit. Adhyatma Ramayana is a part of Brahmanda Purana, and these two have influenced the non-Indian Ramayanas, Southeast Asia, Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Laos, Japan, China, and so on. All these countries have their own Ramayana, sometimes more than one. They are mainly influenced by Tulsidas and Adhyatma Ramayana and the Buddhist Ramayana. Also very influential in Southeast Asia. So, but this story of Lakshmana Rekha, this line, this mystic line Lakshmana draw around Sita's hut, it is not in Valmiki, it is not in Tulsidas, it is not in Adhyatma Ramayana. So I was wondering, where does it come from? The only source I could discover in one text was they are mentioning it's in the Radhe Shyam Ramayana. I never heard this before, that there is a Radhe Shyam Ramayana. Because the name itself is a little bit strange. I mean, Radhe Shyam is nice, we all know. And we chant it very often, Radhe Shyam. And if you go to Vrindavan, people often say Radhe Shyam. If you drive with your rickshaw and the rickshaw driver want to say, get out of the way, they usually shout Radhe, Radhe. In Mayapur and Bengal, they all chant Haribol. If you go to Ayodhya, they all chant, sorry?
Jai Sri Ram.
Jai Sri Ram. Right. This means everything. This means you are a fool. It means thank you. It means get out of the way. It means hello. It means goodbye. It means everything. So Radhe Shyam is normally worshipped by the Krishna Bhaktas, Radha and Krishna. Shyama is one of the names of Krishna. It's also the name of Rama, by the way, but in the Ramas, Shyam has many translations. Not only dark, or dark is a rain cloud, it also means dark green. So, usually in pictures, Ram is painted green and Krishna is painted blue, just to make clear who he is or who is what. Although originally in the Ramayana, Ram is also termed Shyam. Anyway, so I don't know what the Radhe Shyam Ramayana is, to be honest. I never heard this. It was the first time I ever heard about it. And My guess is that, as you showed last month, that the TV, right? There are some TV series about Ramayana. And I know that in the 80s there was a very famous one. And whole villages gathered together in this every Sunday morning around one TV. Now, of course, in India, I guess every household has a TV. But in the 80s, it was not like this. I noticed this by myself. I was in Vrindavan in the 80s, and Sunday morning is normally something going on in the bazaar, at least. But no one was on the street. I was wondering what's going on. Many shops were closed, which is also rare. So, you know, this was such an important event that people were waiting for this Sunday and see the next movie of the series. And I know that the producer, he mixed. It was not clear Valmiki. He mixed also Kamman, the Tamil Ramayana, a little bit inside, and he mixed Tulsidas. So he made it more fascinating for TV. So maybe it comes from this. I have no other explanation. Since I know many people know the story, but if you go to Panchavati, this is the place where it was supposed to happen, people don't care about it. It's not that they have a big place made. Normally in India, if you have a holy spot, the local people really try to make it famous because holy spot means visitors, pilgrims, means money. It means also sadhus and different approaches to this. But in Panchavati, um, I was there some years ago, and I had a hard time even to find this place. And there was just a little line somewhere and nothing. No one really cared. So no one took it serious that this story is true or important. But in another sense, it is interesting because in Valmiki, we talked about the story. Maricha is disguising himself as a deer, and Sita said to Ram, "Please bring me this deer, dead or alive, and so we can take it home, and I can show it to my sisters and to all my companions." So Ram was not willing. But finally, Sita said, "Okay, no, I need it." So she begged. And Ram said, "That's all right." So he left Lakshman with Sita as a guard, and he followed the deer. And finally, he shot the deer, and so we know the story. Now, in Tulsidas Ramayana, and in many others, also Adhyatma Ramayana and others, the story is a little bit different. Because Ravana is not kidnapping the real Sita. He's kidnapping a child Sita, shadow Sita. As the deer approached, Ram said to Sita, "Oh, I have the feeling there is some trouble coming. There are so many Rakshasas in this forest. And I think there's some trouble awaiting us." So he said, "You hide in the fire, and I will chase the deer." So Sita went into the fire and produced and replicate a second Sita, a Chaya Sita, a shadow Sita. So, and this shadow Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. This is the story in Tulsidas, also Adhyatma Ramayana, and in many, many other Ramayanas also. Now, in this connection, it makes sense that Lakshman had this spell, this line around Sita's heart. And for us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the story is in as far as important. Why? Because this is a discussion among these scholars and Ram Bhaktas. How could Ravana kidnap the real Sita? How is this possible? How could he touch her? This is a big question. So there are different ways to look at this. In one version, or in some versions, Ravana is not grabbing Sita directly, but he puts his hand under the earth and takes her with some earth, so not touching her directly, and putting her on the chariot. So he never touched her directly. But in Tulsidas and in, like I said, in other Ramayanas, important Ramayanas, Sita is producing a second Sita, and she goes into the fire. So this is important because normally we accept Valmiki Ramayana as the source of our understanding of Ramayana and Ramlila. He's the source, and this is also confirmed by Prabhupada. He said this. Now, we are follower of Sri Chaitanya, which is one of these gentlemen on the altar. Many Indians might not know exactly what does it mean and who was this person. So he appeared at the end of the 15th century, 1486, in Bengal, Navadvip. This is a region roughly 100 kilometers west of Kolkata. So this region is called Navadvip, 9 islands, because the Ganga is moving like so. Anyway, so he appeared there. And he is considered to be the last avatar of Krishna, of Bhagavan. Krishna appears from time to time in different forms. You notice Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrsimha, and so on. So many forms. One other form is Rama. And Chaitanya is also a form of Bhagavan. So the Vaishnava scholars, they have taken a lot of endeavor to prove that Chaitanya is indeed Bhagavan. He's not just a famous sadhu or guru or pandit or something. No, he's indeed Bhagavan. And the other person on the altar is Nityananda. So these two, as usually we call it Gaur Nitai, well, another name of Chaitanya is Gauranga, which means a golden form, a golden body. His complexion was golden. So he and Nityananda, Nitai, there are these two gentlemen, so supreme personalities, who appeared for this age. In every age, every yuga, there is an avatar, yuga avatar. We know this for yugas, Satya, Treta, Varaha, Dvapara, and Kali. And in every of these yugas, of these ages, Bhagavan is appearing, and he's also showing what is the best way to come to him, to make advancement, the Yuga Dharma. In this age, it is chanting. It's easy. In other ages, you had to go to a secluded place, a pure place, like Himalayas. You have to meditate for thousands of years. And there's no way to get such a food there. There's prasadam, no, just air is your food, that's it. Anyway, so, and he appeared in Bengal. Therefore, previously Bengal was called Gauda. And therefore we are called the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Bengali Vaishnavas. So why I'm saying this, because for us, the personality of Chaitanya is very important. He's the founder of this branch of Vaishnavism. And he, like I said, he appeared 500 years ago. So, is there any problem, or it's getting a little bit disturbing? So he appeared 500 years ago, and he appeared in Navadvip, in this region, and later on he went to Jagannath Puri for his second half of his life. And he also traveled from there. So at one of his travels to South India, he met a Bhakta. He was Kurma, was his name. And this Bhakta was a Ram Bhakta, and he was very sad. He was weeping all the time. And Chaitanya was surprised, and of course he also feels sad. If you see another person feeling sad, you naturally also are feeling the same. So he was so sad that he could not even speak. And then he asked his son, the son of Koma, what is going on? What's happening with your father? And the son said, yeah, he's in Ram Bhakta. And the idea that Ravana touched Sita is so saddening for him that he can hardly survive this thought. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told him, he doesn't have to be sad, because, and he quoted the Koma Purana, it's one of the 18 Mahapuranas. And he said, in the Koma Purana, there's a story, or there's a description. And in one of my books, I have translated the Koma Purana and given this event. And in the Koma Purana, it is said that Ravana didn't touch the real Sita. He touched the Chaya Sita, the shadow Sita. So he can be rejoiced. He can, he can be happy. Don't worry, it was not the real Sita. The real Sita went into the fire. And if we go to the end of the Yuddha Kanda, Ram has killed Ravana, and Sita is free, and Ravana is asking her to prove that she was chaste. She was 1 year in the house of another man, so she's entering the fire in Lanka. And of course, she comes out unharmed. You know, she's not burning into the fire, she's coming out. And this is the moment where the real Sita is coming out again. The real Sita, she was staying at Agni's place, wherever this was, I don't know. Yeah. So, but Ravana, Agni took care of her, and then at this fire ordeal in Lanka, she was supposed to prove that she was chaste, that she came out again of this. This is the explanation behind the story that she's entering the fire in Panchavati. Not in Valmiki. Valmiki, because all these things are too spiritual, so to say. Because Valmiki is always trying to put Rama, Sita, and Lakshman as in the front as human beings. So, human being, how can a human being produce a second one of himself? I guess the scientists, they will work very hard to come to such a point. Until now, they have cloned a sheep. That's it. No. So, of course, a normal human being cannot just produce a second one of himself and is entering into the fire and will still survive. So, this is obviously done by godly persons. Right? Therefore, Valmiki is not mentioned. Other poets, for them, they don't, how to say, they don't care, so to say, that to paint Rama and Sita as human beings. They make clear they are Bhagavan, they are supreme, eternal persons. Rama and Sita are eternal, they have their own planet, the spiritual world, Rama Loka. And wherever Rama appears, Sita appears. So, therefore, this story is there. So far as Lakshmana Rekha is concerned, the story is that, yes, the shadow Sita is still there. She looks exactly like the real Sita. She's talking exactly like this. Everything completely the same. So for Ravana, it was not possible to understand that this is a second Sita. So he's coming to the hut of Sita. Lakshman is already away, following around, right? So, and Ravana, of course, Sita is, she's a very cultured person, and she's welcoming this sannyasi. Ravana is not coming in his real form. He's disguised as a sannyasi, as a mendicant. And Sita said, "Oh, what an honor. Ramana, please come, can I do something for you?" So, this is a normal behavior normally in Indian culture, right? You have the saying, Atiti Devo Bhava. Right? I heard just some days ago, this is a slogan for the Department of Tourism in India, right? Titi is a term for a certain moon phase. So the moon has certain phases, so it's 12 degree, and 30 of these phases, 360 degree, and anyway, this is astrology. So Titi, it also means an auspicious moment. So Atiti means the opposite. So even if it's not the right moment for you as a host, if a guest comes, he's supposed to be considered a deva, a god. This is the meaning. Atiti Devo Bhava. Even if he's coming, unannounced or surprisingly, or even if you do not like this person, you have to welcome him. Look at him as a God. Nice. And probably not always easy to follow. So Sita said, oh, there's a guest, and I'm such a high guest. Oh, Brahmana, and I'm sorry, we are living here in the woods. We do not have much to offer to you, and can I give you a little water at least? So, and Sita said, yeah, but I cannot come out because there is this line around my hut. Right? So I cannot walk through this line, but and of course Ravana could not pass this line also. So, but I can give it my hand, something, a glass or a cup, I don't know what they had for drinking water. And then, of course, Ravana, he knew, so to say, the weak point of Sita, or the weak point of a host. So he was like, oh, what kind of person are you? You have to show some culture. You have to, entertain any guest and support any guest. And so you have to come out and give me this water. So he's playing on this, on her goodness, on her good behavior. He uses this as a trick, so that she could step over this line, but not Ravana could step inside this line. So, and of course, at one point, she's also very clear. He is also very clear what he is expecting from her. He wants to have her as his wife. So she, of course, refuses. She's giving him the advice: please do not, stay here, because if my husband comes back, he will kill you immediately. So better you leave, and so on. Anyway, it's a long discussion. Finally, Ravana managed this, that she's stepping over, and then he can kidnap her. So this is the meaning of this line, or the story of this line. But as I said, I guess this producer, I think, was it Brooks from the 80s? I think his name was Brooks. He must have found it somewhere and thought, well, this is a good story, right? So, now many people think that this is a true story, but like I said, it's not in Valmiki, not Tulsidas, not the Ramayana. Okay, this that much to the story. Now, Dhanakeli asked me to speak also today about Narottam Das Thakur, since his appearance day. And we talked already about Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Like I said, Chaitanya appeared 1486 in Navadvip. And he had a big influence. His movement, as we see, this is the result of his movement. So he started, and of course, he had some followers, thousands of followers. As he started, the Muslim government was very strong in India to this time. They were ruling a lot of places, and they did a lot of harm also. But this is another story. So Narottam Das Thakur, he was born as a prince, as the son of a king in a place which is now in Bangladesh. And from his childhood on, he was a devotee of Sri Chaitanya. In this region also Bengali was spoken, because Bangladesh means the place of the Bengalis. So East Bengal, so to say, West Bengal and East Bengal. So when he was 12 years old, he was born in 1520, by the way, 1520. As he was 12 years old, Nityananda, this is the other gentleman, as I said, on the altar, appeared in his dream and told him, now you go to the Padma River. There's a river called Padma. I don't know if it's still the same name in Bangladesh, but at this time it was called Padma. If you go there and take your bath, then you will get pure devotion, pure bhakti. This was his dream. Of course, so he went to the Padma River, and the goddess of the river appeared before him and gave him this blessing of pure devotion to Lord Chaitanya. So, as he was 16, he decided to leave his home and go to Jagannath Puri. Because, as I said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lived at Jagannath Puri the second half of his life, after taking sannyas. So he heard, Chaitanya is in Jagannath Puri, and he went there with two friends, which are also famous in our Sampradaya, Shyamananda Prabhu and Srinivas Acharya. So these three, they went to Jagannath Puri with the hope to meet Sri Chaitanya personally. So to this time, Narottam Das Thakur was 16 years. But on their way, they heard that Chaitanya had left. This was hard. This is impossible to describe if you have the ability to meet personally the Supreme, right? And then you hear, oh, he's gone. This was hard. So finally, the most important disciples of Sri Chaitanya were the so-called 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. There were 6 disciples, Goswamis. They went to Vrindavan: Sanatan, Jiva, Rupa, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Bhatta, and the 6th one, I forgot. Raghunath Das. Right. Very good. So these were the so-called 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and they were famous. They had different tasks to do. One was to discover the places where Krishna appeared, like Ramakund, Shyamakund, and so on. And another was to study philosophy, write books. Rupa Goswami wrote books, and Sanatan Goswami and Jiva Goswami. He wrote the famous Sandarbhas, Shat Sandarbhas, 6 books. If you read this, there's no question left about philosophy. This is unbelievable. Jiva Goswami. So Narottam Das Thakur went there with his friends, and he asked to become a disciple of Jiva Goswami. But Jiva Goswami, he was extremely learned and wise and sophisticated. He could just give you one example. So this time they had no paper to write. What they used were leaves, banana leaves, for instance. So I don't know if you ever have written a book or a text or a letter or whatever. So sometimes, of course, today it's easy. You can just remove on your computer the wrong sentence or the wrong letter or whatever. So sometimes you write a text and then you think, oh, if I got this one point and oh no, this sentence is not very good. I should rewrite it, right? So this is normal. But he was so advanced. Since he was using the back and the front page, the front leaf, so to say. But it took time that the ink has to dry. So therefore, he took a leaf, write something on it, put it aside, and took another leaf, and he wrote page 3. Because he was waiting until the ink or whatever he used had to dry, and then he wrote after page 3. He wrote page 2. Unbelievable! What an intelligence! But Jiva Goswami refused. He said, "I don't accept any disciples." Sometimes, even very exalted persons, they do not like to have disciples. This can happen. So Jiva Goswami, he sent him to Lokanath Prabhu. He was another advanced Vaishnava living in Vrindavan. So Lokanath became the Diksha Guru, the initiating Guru of Narottam Das Thakur. But Jiva Goswami remained the Siksha Guru, the instructing spiritual master. You can have a lot of Siksha Gurus, people who give you an advice. They send you to a certain direction or to a certain place. They can answer your questions if you have one. So this is one thing. You can have a lot of gurus, right? Even animals can be your gurus. You can learn from animals a lot. Patience or determination, right? Anyway, I think I mentioned this before, that Python yoga. You lay down like a snake and you do nothing. Nothing. You just lay there. This is also a form of yoga. Anyway, there are stories about such yogis. And they don't die. No. Krishna takes care of them. Right? Yeah. So you can learn from many persons. Narottam Das Thakur, he accepted initiation by Lokanath, but he also learned from Jiva Goswami. And later on, he made himself thousands of disciples. He preached mainly in a region which is now called Bangladesh. And he also wrote some songs we sing sometimes, which is kind of our repertoire in Bengali. He wrote, so far as I remember, 2 books. The names I don't know. But he's famous, yeah, especially for songs. So Narottam Das Thakur. So we still have some time. You are the head of everything. 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something? 15 minutes? Okay, 15 minutes. Then we can speak about a story which is happening before Sita was kidnapped. In Valmiki, this event is told later. In Tulsidas' Ramayana, it is described before the kidnapping takes place. So the event is that one day Rama was sleeping near Sita and a bird came, a crow, and she picked into the foot of Sita, and even blood came out. So Rama noticed this later as he awoke, and he asked Sita, and she said, well, there's this strange fellow here, this crow. And of course, Rama got furious. So, and the crow was Indra's son, Jayanta. Why he did this is not explained, and so far as I could see, no one gave a good reason for such a stupid idea. It doesn't make any sense to do it. But we know that Indra is also known that he has not always good ideas. He's a party animal, you would say today. He likes to have parties and and he runs into trouble many times, therefore. So maybe Jayanta, Indra's son, was also not very intelligent. So, okay, I do this. I don't know. Anyway, so Ram got furious and he took a blade of grass as a carrier for his mantra. I explained this also before, that previously you could fight with mantras. To fight with feet and hand another person is low class. High class people don't do this. High class people chant a mantra and then everything is happening. There's also a famous story, a fight between Vasishta and Vishwamitra. But Jai Govintai. This is another topic. Anyway, so, and the high class Kshatriyas, they don't fight with hands and foot, right? Feet. They take a carrier, like an arrow. Usually it's an arrow. They speak a mantra, and then a certain godhead is occupying, so to say, this carrier, this arrow, and is showing his power. You can use an Agni mantra, then suddenly you have a huge fire. You can use a Varuna mantra, you have a flood. You can use a mantra, and then your arrow splits into 1,000 arrows. And you can kill 1,000 enemies with one shot. Things like this. Of course, we don't have these mantras anymore, fortunately. Because nowadays people are so stupid and low class. They would do so much harm to others. Therefore, a lot of Vedic wisdom is lost or buried somewhere. So, otherwise, or on the other hand, even if we have these mantras, and I know that dictators like Hitler, for instance, or Stalin. They had huge Sanskrit libraries because they were very interested to get these mantras. But even if they would get them, they could not use it because you need a certain mind power. You cannot just speak the mantra and that's it. No, you have to have a power of mind to do it. But nevertheless, it's better if it's not available in Kali Yuga. So, so he speaks a mantra, Ram, and he uses a blade of grass, not an arrow. And this blade of grass is harassing this crow, this Jayanta. And he was surprised and he understood, oh, I'm in trouble. So first he went to his father, to Indra, and said, oh, can you help me? Give me a shelter somewhere, a hiding place. And Indra said, this is a Vishnu thing that I cannot do anything about it. So it is described that he went to Brahma's place, to Shiva's place, in any region of the universe. But everyone said, oh, please, leave me immediately, go somewhere else. So finally, he met Narada. And Narada Muni told him, well, the only thing you can do is you go back to Ram and ask him to forgive you. That's the only thing you can do. If he's after you, go away. So this is what Jayanta did. So he flew back, prostrated himself before Ram, asked forgiveness, and Ram said yes, but when I release an arrow, even if it's a blade of grass, it has to find a target. It's not just for nothing. So, and therefore, the target was the left eye of the crow. So she had to offer this eye, and then she flew away. So Tulsidas is describing the story at this point before the kidnapping takes place. In Valmiki, it's a little bit different. In Valmiki, the story is heard as Sita is telling Hanuman the story. Hanuman is going to Lanka. He finally discovered where Sita was kept. And Sita just, that Hanuman can prove that it's true that he met Sita in Lanka. He said, I tell you a story, and only I and Ram know this story. So if you tell this story to Ram, then he will know that you really met him. So, and then she is telling Hanuman this story that once she was hurt by this crow, and as the crow had to surrender to Ram, and she said, if you tell this Ram, then he will know, yes, you have met Sita. And Tulsidas, in his text, he is giving a comparison to another similar story, which you find in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, the story of Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish. The 9th canto of Bhagavatam is my favorite canto because the stories are extraordinary there. And of course, there's also the avatar of Rama described. But in this story of Durvasa and Maharaj Ambarish, we have similar event. Maharaj Ambarish was a great king and a great Vaishnava, very famous. He's one of the ancestors of Ram. And he's coming in the Ikshvaku line. So there are three famous verses describing Maharaj Ambarish in the ninth canto. It starts with Savai Manapada, Ravindayo, Vachansi Vaikunta, Gunanuvana Ne Karau Hare Mandir Marjana Dishu Shrutim Chakarat Shutta. Yeah. So this is described how Maharaj Ambarish, he used everything for the service. With his ears, he heard about Krishna. His mind was absorbed, Savai Mana, Padaravindayo, into or unto the lotus feet of Krishna. Vachansi Vaikuntha Gurana. With his speech, he was talking about Krishna. Karau Hare Mandira Marjana Deshu. With his hands, he was cleaning the temple. Shrutim Chakra. And he heard all the time about Krishna, about Achyuta, the unfallible. So he was not only a great king, he was also a great devotee. And he was also very strict in his vows. Usually Kshatriyas are very strict in their vows. If they have given a word to someone, they have to keep it. This was one of the problems of Dasharatha. Anyway, this we have discussed, his vows. So, and there is a vow many Vaishnavas follow, and this is called Ekadashi, the 11th day of new or full moon. So this is called the 11th day, Ekadashi. And on this day, Vaishnavas do not take grains and beans and things like this. Why this is another story. But we are usually pretty strict on this. No grains on Ekadashi. So, or peas or, these things. Beans. Hülsenfrüchte, we call it in German. So, and it also means you fast on this day. You do not have to fast completely, like eating nothing. You can eat. There are different stages. The most heavy guys, they do not even drink anything. No eating, no drinking for a whole day. Not easy for most of us. And another stage is no eating, but also you have to end your fast to a certain date, right? It's not at 12 o'clock and 1 minute, I can eat. No. It's the next day in the morning. It can be 5, it can be 10 o'clock. It depends on the stars. There are intelligent people who calculate this for every Ekadashi, when you have to break the fast. There's a certain duration, like 1 hour or sometimes 2 hours. And if you have not broken the fast exactly in this duration of time, then it's not completed. It's not followed correctly. So one day, Maharaj Ambarish, he was fasting on Ekadashi. And in the next morning, Durvasa Muni came. Durvasa Muni, as the words say, a Muni, a great saint, powerful person, and a partial avatar of Shiva. So, as we know, Shiva is sometimes heavy. He can be angry. Another name is Ashutosha. This means someone who can calm down very easily, but he can also get enraged easily. So the Vasamuni was a hot-tempered person. And it was not good to, to make him angry, because he was one of these who cursed others very quickly. Saintly person should not curse, but he was like this. A little arrogance, too much arrogance, too much fire, too hot. So now Maharaj Ambarish was fasting, and the next morning he had to break the fast. But he heard that there's the Vasamuni coming. So, what to do, right? You should not eat before the Vasamuni. This is not respectful, but you should also not wait, otherwise Ekadashi is not followed. So some Brahmana said, well, you drink water. Water is a very pleasant element. Water means you break your fast, but it also means you do not break it. You can see it from both ways, right? Water. And Maharaj Ambarish did this. So, and then he went to the river to take his bath. He came back and the Vasamuni was there. And usually the Vasamuni was not only coming of himself, he had like 1,000 disciples with him. So this means your cooking department has to do something, right? So, and the Vasamuni, like I said, he is a partial avatar of Shiva, so he had mystic powers. So he understood, oh, this Ambarish, he has taken water even before I have taken anything. Wow, what an offense. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? A Muni and a saintly person should be, you know, he should be polite and calm and say, well, you're the king, no problem. Give us a nice feast and we're all happy. So, right? No, not Durvasa Muni. Even the name Durvasa, right? So, and he cursed Ambarish. He took a hair out of his head, Durvasa, threw it on the ground, and then a strange, heavy, red-haired, ugly fellow appeared and was about to kill Ambarish. Now, as I said, Ambarish was a bhakta, great devotee and of Narayan. And there are many, many instances where Krishna says, if you blaspheme me, I don't care really. But if you harass my devotee, then I care. This is intolerable. So immediately, Narayan sent his most famous and most powerful weapon, Sudarshan, chakra, this wheel. And this is the ultimate weapon. So this wheel appeared in order to save Ambarish. Did it kill this strange fellow? I don't remember. And then he arrested. Sudarshan followed, and Durvasa understood. Of course, everyone knows Sudarshan chakra. You know. there's no way to overcome it. So Durvasa saw Sudarshan, his creation was killed by Sudarshan. And Sudarshan likes to kill. You know, he is really eager. Yeah. So, and he followed Durvasa. So in the same way, Durvasa, he went to the whole universe more or less and tried to find some shelter, some help, you know, against. But everyone said, Sudarshan Chakra, no one can do anything against it. And he even went to Vishnu. And Sudarshan was reeling behind his neck, you know, getting closer and closer. And it became hotter. His hair started to burn. Sudarshan was just waiting for a little wink, you know, just a little word of Vishnu, and then he would have chopped him off. So he was eagerly waiting, you know, rotating, and he went for Vishnu, and Vishnu said, "Well, if you blaspheme me, this is one thing, but you have tried to kill my devotee. Oh, I cannot tolerate this. Never, never. So if you want to survive, there's only one way to do it. Only one solution. You go to Maharaj Ambarish, and if he forgives you, then it's all right. Then I will also forgive you. But only if he forgives you." So the Vasa back to the earth, throwing himself before Ambarish. Well, Ambarish was a devotee. He said, "Yeah, it's okay. Who's the Vasa? Why do I have to, you know, entangle myself with this fellow? Yeah, it's okay, forgive. So go." So in Sudarshan was a little bit like, oh, come on. I can kill him immediately. Let me do it. Amara said, "That's all right. All right, let him go somewhere with all his disciples. I don't care." So this is the comparison Tulsidas made on this spot in his text. He said, yeah, just like Durvasa had to fly to the regions, Jayanta also had to do it. So in the case of Jayanta, at least, Ram said, maybe because of Sita also said that is all right. It is not written explicitly in the text, but I guess that Ram had a look at Sita like he asked if it's okay if I do not kill this strange fellow here. Should he go? And Sita said, yeah, let him go. So therefore Jayanta was saved, and he was very quick in leaving this place in Panchavati. Yeah, Panchavati, where Panchavati means 5 trees. This is the place. This place is near Nasik. Even today, you can go there. It's wonderful. Next month, I can show you some pictures because I have some pictures in the what is this third canto? Yeah, Aranya canto from Panchavati. Yeah, Godavari is there. Yeah, it's a nice story of Durvasa and Ambarish. And we learn water is a nice element. You can break your fast or you don't break your fast. So this means also if you follow Ekadashi, I don't know, anyone you also follow? Wow. So you can drink water. Of course, if you're really brahmachari type, sannyas type. There is one Ekadashi in June, usually it's my June, Pandava Nirjala. You all know the stories. Well, I have to tell you. I mean, you all know. Because Bhima, he was not able, because he's the son of Vayu. Vayu means wind. Yeah, and Vayu also means prana. And we have different pranas in our body. And some is supposed to, that we can digest. So therefore Bhima and also Hanuman, both, they were always hungry. Always. You can feed them thousands of, I don't know, bananas or whatever Hanuman eats and Bhima eats. Always hungry. Always. Therefore, as Bhima heard, I think from Veda Vyas, I think he was instructed by Veda Vyas, don't remember exactly. Some saint. Sorry?
Krishna himself instructed.
Krishna? Krishna himself. Oh, okay. That he should follow Ekadashi fast. This means like 32 days in a year, more or less. So he said, no, I cannot do that. Impossible. And therefore, he was allowed to take one Ekadashi. Therefore, it's called Pandava Nirjala. Nirjala means no water, no eating, no drinking, nothing. Not even underwater, as sometimes people do, cheating by taking a bath in the river, drinking water underwater. Famous saying in India, right? For cheating, drinking water underwater. So, no, nirjala, not even water. One day a year. And he was promised, if you do this at this day, then it means you have followed all Ekadashis. Nice. For Bhima, this doesn't mean that we can follow in the same line. Probably. You cannot. I mean, you can try, you have to argue with Krishna about it. If you think you are at the same level like Bhima, then you say, well, I followed at least Pandava Nirjala, so that must be enough for a year. Well, try to discuss it with Krishna. If he's agreeing, I don't know. Krishna probably not, but Chaitanya. This is the nice thing about Kali, right? Kali Yuga means that you can, in other ages, if you think something evil or speak something evil, you get a reaction. In Kali Yuga, only if you do something evil, you get a reaction. On the other side, if you think something good, if you talk about something good and you do something good, this counts. Even if you're thinking about serving Krishna. And even if you are thinking about thinking of maybe serving Krishna, this counts. And even if you're thinking about thinking to serve Krishna, nice. It counts as a spiritual activity in Kali Yuga. Because of Chaitanya, he's very merciful. Now, of course, if you think something evil or speak about something evil, this has still an influence on your mind. If you do it all the time, you will also probably at one point do something stupid. So therefore, it's not to say it is there's no reaction is not correctly in a broader sense. It will come to a reaction later on because then you will do something stupid. But from the karma point of view, strict karma point of view, just to think about something bad has no reaction in Kali Yuga. Nice. Special offer. Special offer in Kali Yuga. Oh, very nice. So therefore, everything counts. You have made a lot of advancement just by sitting here and hearing. Shravanam. You don't have to endeavor, you don't have to go to the Himalayas and sit there and meditate and breathe every month once and eat every year once only. Just sitting here and hearing about Krishna, Rama, Kurma, Chaitanya, it counts for you. And for those, I don't know, we have some, but if there is someone here who is not at all interested in anything spiritual or religious, I have bad news for him. He has made the first step by hearing about Krishna. That's the end of his material life. Yes. I mean, not immediately. Obviously, we all still live. We do not fall over dead. But there is a first step. Even a little prasadam is a first step. I remember a story from, I think it was San Francisco. Devotees were distributing books in the city, and there was a kind of night bar, entertainment, striptease bar or something. And there was a doorkeeper there, and he was so angry about these devotees, with their books. He was chasing them. If he saw them, they always had to run because he was a heavy guy. So he was beating them up sometimes if he grabbed them. So, but still, the devotees, they were still distributing books in this area and in the street. And then at one point, they started a farm nearby. So, and then they also had their own grains, and so they made some cookies. So, and they started to distribute these cookies. Not as dhoti, but as farmers, right? So they distributed it and sold it, and they also gave some of these cookies to this guy, to the doorkeeper, and he liked it. He was now previously he was always looking for the devotees to catch and beat them up if he saw the book distributors. But now he was always looking for the devotees, for these farmer devotees, to get some of these cookies. So he became eager and more eager. So, and when he saw them, he said, "Oh yeah, please." And he was paying even for the cookies and "Oh, bring me more. You can bring me every day some." So, and he was so purified after some time. Of course, they were starting to talk to each other, these cookie distributors with this guy. And it happened that as the cookie distributor was there also a book distributor came. So the guy was already, in his old mood, trying to catch the book distributor. And the cookie distributor, the devotee said, wait. This is my brother. We are coming from the same spot, right? He's distributing books, we are distributing cookies. But we are brothers. Same company. So he was like, wow. So he was pacified. completely, he calmed down and he never harassed the devotees anymore. So, yeah, prasadams also sometimes it changes your whole existence. Just the prasadam. So powerful, right? It's spiritual if it's offered. And I remember another story from, I think it was Los Angeles. There was a devotee parents, and they had a son. He was 8 or 9 years. So they raised him as a Vaishnava. And he knew, if I have to eat something, I have to offer it first to Vishnu. Okay. So the parents, they were out of the flat and somewhere, and he was at home, and he was like, oh, I need some halava. He wanted to eat some halava. So he knew how to do it. He did it, took a little bit in a bowl, put it on the altar, and waited. So he knew some mantras, how to offer the food. So he put it on the altar, he waited some minutes, he came back and looked at the altar, and nothing happened. The halava was still there. Oh, he thought, oh, I have made a mistake. Vishnu has not taken my halava. He cooked again. He cooked again, put it on the altar. He thought, wow, I hope Krishna will accept my halava. So he came back and halava was gone. No halava anymore in the bowl. And he was, Krishna has accepted my, now I can eat it. This is his true story. So Krishna was merciful and said, okay, before he is doing it a third time, okay, I take it. Oh, there's so many stories connected with prasadam, especially in Chaitanya's time. One of the favorite activities of Chaitanya and his followers, having huge feasts, huge, thousands of people. And sometimes in Bengal, they still do this. At certain days, they have these celebrations, thousands of people. And they have these, they look like pools, like 1.5 meters deep and 10 meters long and like this. And in these pools, they cook khichdi, huge amounts for thousands of people. This Panihati festival, for instance, near Mayapur, they still do this. They cook for thousands khichdi. Wow, wonderful. So to Chaitanya's times, this was a little bit. They had much more than khichdi. They had everything you can imagine, sweets. Sometimes Chaitanya was just taking a seed from a mango tree, putting it into the earth, and then there was a mango tree and ripe mangoes. And all the devotees were, because they had some long kirtan or walk, I don't remember exactly. But they all feasted on mangoes. Fresh mangoes, wonderful. So these feasts, there are long descriptions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Long descriptions of what they eat. Of course, mainly Bengali stuff, Bengali food. But wonderful. So I think this, now you're all prepared and greedy for the prasadam. Greedy enough to start, right? Okay. So thank you for listening. Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Lakshman Hanuman Sitarama Ki Jai.
Any questions? One question?
Oh, one question. One question. Okay.
So you mentioned how Narottam Das Thakur went to Jiva Goswami and then not accepted him as a disciple, and later on Lokanath Goswami accepted him as a disciple. But in the disciplic succession given in Bhagavad Gita by Prabhupada, if we see before Narottam Das Thakur, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is mentioned. So, as they were Shiksha Guru.
You know this line by heart?
You were actually
Wow.
referring to yesterday. So.
Wow. Now, first of all, this line is somewhere, I know, in the introduction, right? This line doesn't mean there is no gap. It's not a complete line in this sense. This is the first point. But let me see, is the line here somewhere? In Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is before Lokanath? No. It's not there. Acha. Lokanath, okay. He was. Oh, I don't know. Who was this disciple of somewhere? Ah, right. Rupa Raghunath Jiva Krishna Das Narottam, okay. Vishwanath. Oh, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Ooh, he was so intelligent. Have you ever read his commentary to the Bhagavad Gita? Wow, brilliant. And also Baladev Vidyabhushana, of course. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's to this time we might point now, or we might consider this Diksha and Shiksha Guru much more important than it was to this time. It wasn't so clear cut. Normally, it was not so, or he's my spiritual master and not he, or there were so many Vaishnavas and so many Diksha Gurus and Shiksha Gurus. I don't know. Maybe Lokanath was a disciple of Krishna, I don't know. Maybe the record is not complete. I don't know where Prabhupada has this from, where this is coming from. Yeah, Krishna Das Kaviraj, of course, he wrote this wonderful biography, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There are four wonderful biographies about Lord Chaitanya. And one is Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami's. And this is the one Prabhupada translated. There's also Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Mangal. So I don't know why Prabhupada chose the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Maybe it's highly philosophical also in the beginning. The first 3 volumes are tough, philosophically hard to understand. So Chaitanya Bhagavat is a little bit different. It's almost only Leelas. Anyway, so I don't know. I can only repeat what I read. And I read that Lokanath was his guru, and that Jiva was his Shiksha guru. I mean, he was the Shiksha guru of everyone in Vrindavan. Because like I said, the Sandarbhas Jiva Goswami wrote, they're so deep. This is how he is establishing the supremacy of Srimad Bhagavatam as the source of all our understanding of the Vedic scriptures. This is just brilliant. You cannot argue with him. This is so. So he was the one who wrote the most philosophical texts. Sanatana Goswami also wrote nice texts like the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Laghu Bhagavatamrita is Rupa Goswami, and the Bhagavatamrita is by Sanatana Goswami. So yeah, the Laghu, the light one, the light Bhagavatamrita is from Rupa, but it's also highly philosophical. About the avatars, he wrote a lot of things about yoga avatars and lila avatars and so on. So, okay, thank you. Haribol.
Prabhu ki jai. Prashad.
Sounds good.
Hare Krishna. So everyone can take a seat and we will celebrate. Hare Krishna.